This is St. George and the Dragon by Clifton Johnson. I picked it up about a year, maybe 2 years ago, out of the trash at a junk store because nobody wanted it. This is chapter 5, What is a Man? This is the first time I've actually read the story, so I'll probably mess up a little bit here and there. I printed out some drawings to go along with it. First drawing. In a certain forest there dwelt a lioness which had one cub. This cub did not go to the school as children do, but learned his lessons at home. The lessons were not reading, writing, or arithmetic. No, the lioness taught her cub only one lesson, which was to avoid mankind as if they were poison. Every day, morning and evening, she taught him for an hour, telling him again and again that of all the beasts of the forest he need fear none. For a lion is the strongest of any of them, but man he must fear and keep clear of. At last the little lion grew to be a big lion, and as often happens to children, as well as lion cubs. Whoop. What was that? He grew conceited too. He could not believe that his mother was old enough to be wiser than him. He would find for himself whether all she had been telling him about mankind was true or nonsense. So one fine day he left home to see something of the world. First animal he saw that he had not seen before was an ox. He felt rather nervous as he observed the creature's sturdy hoofs and horns, but you must remember that he was young and ignorant. In spite of his anxiety, he went up to the ox and said timidly, "Good morning, sir. Will you be good enough to tell me if you are a man?" If an ox could laugh, that ox would have laughed, but an ox is always solemn. This one was chewing his cud, mincing and mouthing with great calmness so as to get the full flavor of the rich grass. He turned his meek eyes and stared at the lion. "A man!" he exclaimed. "God forbid! A man is a terrible creature. He makes slaves of us oxen. He puts a yoke on our necks and fastens us to a thing called a plow. Then he makes us pull the plow to and fro till we are tired to death. If we won't go, he prods and lashes us. That hurts very much. I can't imagine what is the use of all this pother. We get no good from it. When we are old and can work no more, he kills us. After that, he eats our flesh and makes our skin into shoes for his own feet. Keep clear of men if you value your life." At the conclusion of his remarks, the ox turned his head away and went on with his chewing. What he had said gave our lion something to think about. It seemed to the lion that the ox was a very strong animal, and yet the ox had told him that man was stronger. The lion went his way, and by the lion went his way, and by, what should he see but a camel? If the ox was a fine creature, here was a finer, ever so tall, with a hump on his back and amazingly long neck and legs. Surely this must be the terrible man of whom the lion had heard so much. To make certain, he approached the camel and said very respectfully, "Good morning, sir. Pray, will you tell me if you are a man?" The camel turned on his head on his long neck to have a look at the lion. At the same time sniffed and sneered as camels have a way of doing, and in a most unpleasant way it said, "Pooh!" He snorted. Pooh! Nope. Anyway. "Stuff! Pooh! You oaf! You think me a man? I wish I were a man. Wouldn't I make short work of you? A man, ha! Why, I am a slave to a man. The men catch us and make us a hole in our nose. Then they put a ring in it. Do you see my ring? How do you think I like a hole made in my nose? They tie a rope to the ring and lead us about all day long, just as they please. They make us squat down in the mud while they put a great load on our backs, enough to crush a whippersnapper like you. Groan as we may, it's of no use. They do what they choose, man. The very name makes me shiver. Get out and leave me alone. This frightened our lion. He did not know, but the big camel might kill him if the notion to do so came into his head, and he ran off as fast as he could. A little while he spied an elephant. What a monster the creature was! To be sure, a great Dolsk mountain of an animal with a long nose curled about and a huge white tusk and big flapping ears. The lion was so terrible this time that he would not go near the elephant until he observed that the monster had a rope around his tusks and that the other end of the rope was tied fast to a stake. Then he plucked up courage, approached the beast, and said, "Good morning, my lord. Please, will you tell me if you are a man?" The elephant trumpeted loudly. That was his way of laughing at the idea. "Hurrah! Hurrah!" he shrieked. "A man! Hurrah! No, a man is my master. A man tied me to this post. Men are cruel and selfish brutes. With all my strength, I am no match for one of them. They make us fetch and carry, and they drive us about by sticking a sharp spike in our heads. I have had as many as a dozen men at a time get on my back to ride around. Don't you go near a man if you love your life. Why, bless you, they will make mincemeat of you. Hurrah!" In this excitement, the elephant swished his trunk all around him. Our lion had now seen 3 astonishing animals, and all that a man was stronger than they were. What could this terrible creature be like? We must be tremendous if he was able to master such a beast as the elephant. Yet the elephant had said that man got on his back a dozen at a time. The lion could not understand it at all. He shook his head and stalked thoughtfully away. As he was going along, he saw a puny, weak-looking thing walking upright on 2 legs. That seems to be a kind of monkey, the lion thought. It never entered his head that the little creature could be a man. He trotted gaily up to him and said, "Good morning, my friend. Could you tell me where I could find a man? I have been hunting for one all morning." "I am a man," the thing said. At this, the lion laughed in his face. "You a man?" he exclaimed. Come, I must be young, but I am no fool, my good fellow. Why, you are not so big as one leg of an elephant. I've been talking with you, and he was tied to a stake, and, as he said, by a man. All the same, I am a man," the 2-legged creature declared. "But look here," the lion went on. "My father and my mother both said that man is a terrible creature, and that the only one a lion need fear. Either you are no man, or else my father and mother are quite wrong." "Well," the man said, "I am not nearly as strong as you, or the elephant, and camel, or even the ox. You are quite right in saying that I am not much to look at, but I have one power which you will lack." "Indeed, and what may that be?" the lion asked. "Reason," the man answered. "I never before heard of reason," the lion said. "Please explain it to me." "It's not easy to explain what reason is," the man responded, "but if you like, I will show you how it works." The lion was delighted. "I wish you would," he said. The man was a woodcutter and had an axe on his shoulder. He lifted his axe and struck it into a stout sapling so that the cleft was formed. Into this cleft he hammered a wooden wedge with the back of his axe, thus widening the split several inches. "Now then," he said to the lion, "just put your paw in that hole." The lion obediently did so, and the man pulled out the wedge. At once the sapling closed tight upon the paw of the lion and squeezed it. "You know now what reason is," the man announced. But the lion no longer cared to hear about reason. All he wanted was to get his paw out of the cleft. He pulled and tugged, he roared and struggled, but that did not help him any. He was unable to get his paw free. The end of it all was that and madness and fury. He dashed his head against the ground and died. With this is how the lion learned what a terrible being man is. Unluckily, his knowledge was of no use to him or anyone else, because it cost him his life. If he had indeed heeded his mother's teaching, he might be living still, and you would not be reading or listening to this story. Like I said, I made a few mistakes, and that was literally the first time I ever read it. St. George and the Dragon by Clifton Johnson. Illustrated by Harry L. Smith, the Goldsmith Publishing Company. 1935, which Chicago, Illinois, which is my Happy Time Books, is always the 1930s, and it's St. George and the Dragon and Other Folklore Stories. I could not find it on the internet anyways, so I'm just going to put one on there.